This is a very short video, but this is explaining how to use condensers and why condensers are rather useful, especially for the medical field. Some stations have condensers already pre-mapped in medical, but they may not be in the most optimal places. But condensers can be made round start by science, so if you really need to, just go ask them for some, well, condensers. You really only need one, though. In order to make use of a condenser, you're going to want to put it on a pipe network or just somewhere that you can set up a connector port like this, and like you can even move the condenser port over here. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do it right here because cryo, but you want to put it anywhere that you can have access to a pipe and the condenser itself. You actually don't really need a crowbar, but you do need a wrench so you can anchor it, unanchor it, and having a gas analyzer does help. So really all you do is you take the condenser and you just make sure it's lined up with like distro. Just line your condenser up with these blue pipes. This is why I would recommend a crowbar though, just to make sure you actually are getting what you want to get. You can then click on the pipe to see what's in it. There is nitrogen and oxygen in there. So we can anchor this. The full effectiveness of this does somewhat depend on Atmos. This is a standard Atmos setup, but a lot of Atmosians like to up the pressure of the pipe, so there will actually be more moles to pull from. And we can observe the condenser working by examining it. You can shift click it and click the little cup icon. Chemists spawn with this by default, so it's really easy. And you can see we are collecting nitrogen and oxygen directly from the distro pipes. So you can get not practically, you can literally get unlimited nitrogen and oxygen in this way because there's infinite amount of nitrogen and oxygen in Atmos. So make use of this. Oxygen is especially useful for things like cryoxadone. Speaking of the cryo video I just did, you can basically make almost infinite cryoxadone without having to get a restock. Go to medicine and type in oxygen. We can see all the things that oxygen helps us make. Helps us make thermoline, helps us make inoperably, Dexilin, which Dexilin is a Dexilin is a requirement for cryoxadone, and you also need oxygen for cryoxadone. So the only thing to make infinite Dexilin at this point is some plasma. So if we go over this, you have infinite oxygen. Plasma and Dexilin is actually a catalyst, so you basically have infinite plasma. And then for cryoxadone, it's just oxygen, which you have infinite of, Dexilin, which we have infinite of, and water, which you basically have infinite of. So there's no reason to not be using cryo because one condenser will basically give you an infinite amount of cryoxadone. Yeah, it's not a ton of oxygen, but it's something you might as well set up. And if like the pipes have more in them, you can get more from the condenser. You could just straight up hook up an oxygen tank directly to it to get even more oxygen. There's just so many things you could do with this that is rather useful. So if you don't want to get a restock or you just want to basically make an unlimited production of cryoxadone, give a condenser a try.